Hey, brothers and sisters, what's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. And this is going to answer a question that the BW keep asking about her image. And the question they keep asking is, and this goes along with their simps too. Our image, stop messing up our image. And they never ask themselves who is messing up their image. Alright? Who is messing up the image of the modern USA black woman? Who's messing up these black women's image? And I submit as an answer, and this is something that they should address themselves. Are they their own answer to this question? Alright? If you look behind me, or behind me in a picture, that's Judge Margie Braxton. Or in front of me, or whatever. But if you look at the judge, a black woman, in no place ever have you seen more evidence of the wickedness that the BW has wrought on the Afro man than through the United States family court system, which is nothing but an extortion racket. It is nothing but an extortion racket supported primarily by the BW when it comes to being against the Afro man and those BWs that they put on the bench. Now, before I really get into this, because this is going to tie up two ends, the fraud that is going on in child support, all right, and the image of the BW all at the same time. And I'm going to point out something that this simp from Kevin Samuel's real fan page pointed out, as he is tired of people being hard on Richardson who don't represent Afro men. She don't. Alright? And that's the other part of the problem. These women raise dudes so soft when it comes to intelligence and thinking and righteousness that they don't know evil when they see it and would have that evil teach their children. Now, before we get started, let me greet everybody. Hovorten hardu gudag, olo oi to the bang, vasas los, bonjour mes amis, keru bawani konnichiwa, ni hao ni ana, sani bonani, jumbo habarigani, assalamu alaikum, and shalom. Now, in this, I am going to be reviewing a court case to show you how wicked the BWs have been, but how wicked this system is, and the fact that they keep running the good Afro man through it, or any Afro man through it, has a lot to do with a lot of their image. And we're not even talking about the ratchetness, the fake hair, and all the rest of that. Because all of that is the outward appearance of the corruption of the heart that they have on the inside. It says, from out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. From out of the abundance of the heart, the outside of these females will tell you how corrupted they are in their thought. Just look at them. They wear the uniform of those that have betrayed the Afro men and have tried to sell not only the Afro men, but their own children down the river for money and what? Seeking worship. So let's get into this. On our way into this, let me remind you, all right, of what we're doing in the community. All right, if you would like to help, my donation links are in the description box. All right, and you know this is going out to you brothers, with the exception of a few sisters that support this channel. But primarily, it's brothers that's doing it. But the sisters that's doing it, that's helping us out, are doing it big. So, hey Bertha, let me know you're okay. All right. Just had to send a shout out to her. All right. So, in a study in a Canadian CRC, when it come to paternity, now understand this about the statistics. If it's something for all the rest of the women, the BW is going to be worse at it because of how much they disregard their child and the father or the man. So, and you've seen it over and over again. So when we say 30% in the Afro community, we're looking at realistically 40 and 50%. We're the ones in those negative categories when dealing with things that women do that drive the statistic up. All right. So this is something that they did in Canada. Half the women said that if they became pregnant by another man but wanted to stay with their partner, they would lie about the baby's real father. This is the mentality of the woman, and this is really, and we understand this because this is the legacy of the BW. 42% would lie about contraception in order to get pregnant, no matter the wishes of their partner. Again, add 10 or 20% to this, and you got what's really happening to the Afro man when it comes to the BW. So there's no wonder why there is such a, let's say, a disdain for the wickedness that the Afro men are finally waking up to seeing. All right? So, this guy, Sean Garrison, when you see this report right here, just black and white, it's coming from, and all the links will be in the description box, right? It is coming from his report, all right? When paternity, but he makes this point that women don't seem to get. They would rather argue on behalf of women and women only because they do not give a damn about children. And we already knew they didn't care about men. But understand, the fact that they don't want DNA tests means that they really have no love in their heart for children. We know they don't love men, but they do not love the child. To not let the child know, even for medical reasons in their future, to let that child know who their father is such a wicked and evil thing for a mother to do. It's the most evil thing that I think a mother can do that is short of abortion. Well, abortion is the most, again, BWs, 13%, most of the abortions, okay? But to lie about who the father is, again, BWs, 13%, but they do it the most, all right? He goes to say paternity fraud is an act that leaves a throng of victims in its wake, from the real biological father who has been denied the right to know and raise his child, to the child itself who's been lied to the child itself. See, everybody forget about the child. The reason why these females, and now you know they try to research and try to dig up dirt on me, but they can't because I've always cared about children. But what really upsets me and make me really, really angry is to understand that these women have no love in their heart for the children. These platforms that give them free reign to take men's channels down, that talk on behalf of children, are just as wicked, like YouTube, Facebook, and all the rest of them. That's why I'm so glad all these lawsuits are going forth to hold these platforms accountable. They lie because they don't give a damn about a child. All right, so the child who's been lied to every day since birth, to the extended family, all parties involved, who have also been victims of the daily deception. All right, this is Sean Garrison. All right, he's the one that wrote this. Now, we go back to this Canadian CRC. It's a national survey, and this is national news. UK national survey. And so this is something that women are doing all over the world because the westernized government have become so wicked in their legal system that it's worth nothing but dirt right now. This is why a lot of Afro men, Caucasian men, a lot of men in all these Western countries are leaving. All right. These legal systems allowed these women because they could get them to vote for them, because women will always outnumber men. They allowed them to be this wicked that the men don't see any use to even get married, and some are avoiding having children, and they said, F it, we'll just leave, right? 5,000 women, infidelity and paternity fraud, right? Scotland's national newspaper had this headline from these studies, right? 96% of women that took part in this. So understand, this is a representative sample of the women across at least the UK. We know it's way worse in the United States. It's hard to say that worse, but this is all the people that took it. 96% of women are liars, honest. The Scotsman, Edward Black, December 2004. This is something that men are waking up to. Again, this link will be in the description box. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this. All right? Pay attention to this news report, and we're going to break some things down. Pay attention to what's happening to this dude. All right? This is how real this is.
Information in a story first exposed about the state ordering a Detroit man to pay child support for a kid that everybody agrees isn't his.
As 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell tells us, the court has made him a wanted man.
And shout out to Kim Russell because she stayed on this case. All right? So I'm going to just stay to the end. You'll see the outcome of all of this too. And I'm going to break some stuff down.
Until he pays up.
When I exposed this story, I thought someone a friend of the court would fix a clear injustice. Instead, a warrant has now been issued for Carnell Alexander's arrest.
So, when a man falls behind on child support, he gets arrested. When the woman don't take care of a child, or when she don't want to, she could go leave it at the fire station, put them up for adoption. CPS will come and get the child, but the woman will be free to make more children. At no point do she go to jail. As a matter of fact, over and over again, she gets rewarded for abuse of the child. Again, over and over, the women in the United States get rewarded for the abuse of the child through money that they extort from the father or the system who lets them go, gives them help, gives them a home. I understand this.
For him, it's deja vu. In 1991, during a traffic stop, Carnell Alexander got a shock. Police arrested him. His crime? Being a deadbeat dad.
I knew I didn't have a child, so I was kind of blown back.
He told 7 Action News he would later learn this happened because his ex needed help.
I had to turn to welfare to get assistance, to take care of them, and I had to put him down as the father. That was the only way I can get assistance.
All right, so again, this is the BW's image. I said there's no better way to add this up than to show how they do a man when it comes to the system. They use the man to get something for themselves to make it easier on their jacked up and effed up decisions. All right, and so it was nothing to her heart to put this man in jail and have him go through all this hell for all these years. But it gets worse.
That started a paternity case. A process server then turned in this paper saying Carnell had been notified at a house in Highland Park. So when he didn't show up at court, he was legally listed as dad. The problem? Carnell didn't get notified. He wasn't even at a house in Highland Park. He was in prison for a crime he committed as a young man.
So that means the system are liars. I told you, this evil goes all the way to the courts, who are liars. I mean, straight up liars. Everybody that on behalf of the females in the United States, the whole system lies in order to extort and treat the Afro men or men horrifically. Now, the Afro men bear the brunt of this because it's hard for us to get representation like Caucasian men. Oh, but they take the Caucasian man through the ringer too. We got an 8-year-old boy whose mother want to have him have an operation to take away his gender because she wanted to piss off the father. Let's just call it for what it really is. But the courts were going to allow that against the wishes of the father. All right, and then the courts want to get mad because men don't want nothing to do with them. And the United States is getting mad and worried because the men would rather go to war with them if they would keep this up. When there's nothing to live for, you give men something to die for. Why do you think there's such an uptick in all this violence?
And by the time he learned about the paternity case, judges told him it was too late. Legally, he owes the state more than 30 grand for assistance paid to care for a child.
I did not fathers, and I did not biologically create or spend any time with throughout my life. I find that very unfair.
Carnell says he won't pay. He tells me tomorrow he will turn himself in.
I will go to jail if I have to because I'm tired of the situation of the mishandling of the case.
I don't think that's right.
Murray Davis from the National Family Justice Association says there are thousands of men in Carnell Alexander's shoes because Michigan does not have paternity fraud laws that protect men.
Michigan does not recognize.
No state has paternity fraud laws that protects men. Not really. We haven't seen a single woman go to jail because of paternity fraud. We've seen women use, especially the BWs, use this, and y'all know I know this personally. I watch women, even your own family, tell their daughters to put your brothers in jail, your friends in jail, their own sons in jail with trumped up charges because they could get away with it. Many of you know the cases that I've been through. And even though I personally wasn't touched at the time, all this was done to try to hurt my home, to make it difficult for me to raise my nieces. Understand this. And then when the nieces grew up, they thought it was okay to lie and manipulate and misuse people. To the point they started doing it to their dad and his friends. Understand the wickedness in the hearts of these BW.
Recognize paternity fraud in the sense that a person who has been found not to be the father is relieved of those obligations.
I did reach out to friend of the court and was told that they cannot comment on open and active cases. Carnell, in the meantime, plans to go to court and turn himself in tomorrow with his attorney, who hopes to convince a judge to let him go free. We'll let you know what happens. Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
All right, Kim, certainly a lot of people watching that.
Now, let me say this. If it wasn't for Kim Russell, that dude would be in jail, and he got a BW lawyer. But that BW lawyer, had it not been for this Caucasian woman, because everybody want to throw shade at Caucasian women instead of looking at the character, the content of their character. We like, go look at us for the content of our character, but don't get with a Caucasian woman because she'll do this to you. And they ain't did. They've been nicer to us than the BW. And we know this statistically. Look at the community. It's in shambles. All right, now, as we look at the image of the BW, and the reason why I use the paternity fraud thing and paternity is because nothing has done more damage to the image of BWs to show the world and finally a lot of Afro men who these women really are. When you look at this, these are all the women and all the children that they have. These are all the fathers that they were able to find. And so when I went through this, all the women on here, all the way from Shonda through Moesha, these are all women who has been on the show 10 or more times. This is not counting all of them, just the ones that's been on 10 or more times. Who has the record of BW? All right. She's followed by a Hispanic woman, then a white woman. But all the rest of them are BWs. All right. Now, look at the number of children. The Hispanic woman, 6. White woman, 2. All right. Shonda, 3. But 19 times plus 14 plus 13 plus 12. You see how they outnumber the Caucasian woman in. All right. So we see this over and over again. So 19 times plus 14 times plus 13 times plus 12 times 11. Plus 11. Plus 11 again. Plus 10. Plus 10. So if you watch more, you see this over and over again. And more times they have found out that the men were not the father than they have found out the men were the father. So more time, these women accuse men that weren't the fathers of being the fathers, then they've gotten it right. Y'all better understand something right now. The problem, other than the lying mother, this is again back to the article, and he said the problem other than the lying mother, we've seen countless of times how easy it is for a mother to commit paternity fraud. Why? That's because the legal system is determined to find someone to provide support for the child so that the state won't have to do it. These are the same people getting money and kickbacks from all these businesses and stuff, all right? But they rather just burn a man, let the lying woman go free, because these women bring them in money. It isn't so much concerned with whether or not the father is giving that support is the biological dad or not to the state, because the state don't give a damn. And when they say it's for the good of the child, they're lying. The state is lying. Anybody in the judicial system that says that is a liar. Hands down, is a liar. When they say that this system is for the benefit of the child, they're liars because statistically, the children are worse off with the mother than they are with the father. So they're lying. And they know this. They're judges. They're lawyers. So they know what the true statistics are. And if they don't, that's because they don't want to know. Right? 2, statistically, more women murder and abuse their children than men. Statistically, women are more stable and safe with the father than the woman. Understand this. And empirically, statistically, and spiritually, it is a very evil thing when a child does not know who his real father is, because the court system and the FEFL held it from them. Take the recent case of Cornell Alexander. So that's what we're looking at. A man who was held responsible for $30,000 missed child support payments for a child that DNA proved isn't his. All right, to recount, so we're recounting this right now. All right, I wanted to write it down, and I wanted to keep Judge Marjorie R. Baxton in this story. All right, so I want y'all to pay attention to this.
Wild and unbelievable stories here in Detroit. This is one of them. Imagine being told to pay child support for a kid that is not yours or go to jail. That was the order the state handed down to a Detroit man.
So today, he turned himself in, but here's what happened when 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell went with him to court.
Again, shout out to Kim Russell, because she was on top of this.
Cornell Alexander walked into the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice knowing in moments he could lose his freedom.
I stayed up all night, couldn't sleep, thinking about it.
Cornell is a wanted man because he refuses to do what the state orders and to pay child support for a child that DNA tests prove isn't his, a child he doesn't even know.
I haven't even had a chance to really speak to him, except for one time when we took the DNA test.
Nonetheless, right now, under the law, he's a deadbeat dad. Today, he turned himself in to the judge as ordered.
Scared.
So when these females start running around calling people deadbeat, call them liars.
Because I've been before this.
Judge Marjorie Braxton, right? The reason why I keep concentrating on her is she had the audacity as a black woman to reprimand this man for wanting to fight for his rights, and she tried to shame him because he didn't want to pay money for a child that wasn't his. Let's keep going.
Judge before.
But this time he had attorney Cherika Harris, who volunteered to help after seeing his story on 7 Action News. The judge said he will not go to jail for today.
Thank you. Thank Ms. Harris. And hope that we can resolve this soon.
I'm just trying to help him with his future.
Though the threat of jail is on hold, it is not over. Cornell Alexander still owes more than $30,000 to the state for a child that's not his, because the mom wrote his name down because she needed to name someone in order to get welfare benefits.
And I had to put him down as the father. That was the only way I can get the system.
Now,
I'm almost homeless. I'm almost in jail. I'm out of work. My money is being threatened to be taken.
Cornell isn't just worried about how this is impacting him. He says the law needs to be changed, so when this happens, as it often does, other men don't become dad by default.
We can be defaulted into being a father of a child that is not ours. I don't understand that law, but it is a law in place.
In Detroit, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
Yeah, you would think that mother would have to pay that money back instead of him, who's not the father's child.
All right. So now we got a good picture of the heinous stuff that the Afro man has to go through, and it is the black woman that is putting him through this stuff. Why? Because we've said it on this channel over and over again. What is more important to them is the government benefits of welfare is more important than picking a good man to be a father, because feminism told them, well, they don't need no man. Until they need one, then they decide to use the man, the closest man whose name they can remember. This is why it's just best for us Afro men just to run away from the BW. Really, run away. We shouldn't even want to be known by them. Period. Because if they know you, they could do this kind of stuff to you, and they will. Remember, 96% that did that survey turned out were liars. That's high. Even in a sample group, that should be worrying to what the population is like. Okay, so you see what's going on. You see the judge, and she actually had the nerve to reprimand the man for fighting for his rights. She basically told him he should have just sucked it up and just paid all that money that he didn't know. He should have just took ruin for the benefit of the child. But it doesn't benefit the child to know a man is not his father. But of course, these are the BWs. All right. In another study, the only significant insight to the number of paternity fraud victims coming from the American Association of Blood Banks, which annually reports that approximately 28 to 30% of paternity tests excluded the target man. This is in California. Now, I said here it says 28%, but when we get into this further, it's going to be 30%. All right? So, pay attention.
You saw first on 7 Action News, a man said he was tired of paying child support for a child that was not his, and the courts knew was not his. Now, with this court order, he is one step closer to justice.
Carnell Alexander says he got a shock during a traffic stop in the early 1990s. The officer arrested him, telling him he's a deadbeat dad. When he appeared in court, Carnell told the judge he didn't have any children.
It's such an unfair system, period.
Turns out, while he was in prison for a crime he committed as a young man, an ex listed him as father. Notice of the paternity hearing was taken to his old house. When he didn't appear for the hearing he didn't know about, he was made dad by default. He went to court again and again, but could not get the matter resolved.
No one ever listened until I met you.
After he told his story on 7 Action News, an attorney volunteered to take on the case.
She only volunteered to take on the case after she heard the white woman's report. See, that's what it takes for a BW to act on our behalf. He didn't have any BW lawyer to go to. It was only after, because they don't work for the community, they don't work to better the community, they are for themselves and for the Caucasian power, that they only cry as racist only when they don't get their way with the Caucasian man. But while they're helping the Caucasians slam the Afro man, ooh, there is no problem.
Cherika Harris says she did so because she's outraged by how the system treated Carnell Alexander.
We declare him a deadbeat. We take his money, we garnish his wages, we take away his ability to earn a living. That's an illegal taking. That's a violation of his constitutional rights.
Attorney Harris is preparing to appear before a federal judge and argue that Alexander deserves to sue the state and Wayne County for violating his civil rights. She says the case is important to protect others. It is only as her suit has moved forward that Wayne County dismissed the child support case against her client. Carnell got official notice 2 days ago that after a 26-year-long fight, he doesn't owe child support for a child that is not his.
The judge has finally agreed with me that this shouldn't have been done.
The only reason why the judge agreed was because she was about to sue. Oh, they're still going to sue them. All right, for the violation of his rights. So this is what needs to happen. But see, this should have been happened, but no lawyer stood up for the man until this case happened, and it was so egregious. It was so much of a see, I told you so moment that somebody said, well, you know what, I could use the publicity, and stood up for him. And it took them to sue the state for him to get some relief.
I feel very happy that the debt has been lifted, but I'm still hurt by what I've been through over 26 years.
His attorney will be in federal court tomorrow, asking a judge to allow him to seek justice for the violation of his civil rights. We'll let you know what happens. Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
I think a lot of people are waiting to see how that one will play out.
All right, so thanks to the white woman, you know, our enemy, quote unquote, you know, the one y'all say we should, the only one that's showing concern about our plight as Afro men, y'all better wake up. So the American Association of Blood Bank, which accredits DNA testing labs, released its finding about paternity testing in a landmark 1999 report that stated that 30% of DNA paternity tests nationwide turned out to be negative. 30%. Now, as a person that's worked in a lab, kind of ran one for a little bit as an NCOIC, periodically on and off for short bursts of time. These people regulate anything we do in blood banking. All right. And when they say it's 30%, it's 30%. Period. So here's the problem with all this. Weak-minded dudes like this Jason Hanna on this official Kevin Samuel, the official Kevin Samuels fans Facebook page. All right, this is the problem. He's part of the problem that allow these females to do this stuff. He says, you have been way too harsh on this sister, talking about Richardson, right? About the world stage representing us. She don't represent us, and this is what this clown don't understand. Okay? She will kick for sure. If we don't support her, who will? We shouldn't, and all she's doing is running. She is an athlete. She don't represent us. She represents the United States in the Olympics. She represents herself, and she represents the LG rainbow group. She don't represent the Afro man. This shows you how sick and insensitive to the plights of the community that a lot of these jokes are. This dude have no clue. But then again, these are people that really don't care about the community. If you read through that, if you freeze and read through that, his only complaint was that she is a black woman, and that as a black woman, she should get a pass on every wicked thing she do. And he's thinking that people don't support her. He says, I get it that you don't like her appearance, but think about your ex. You like her appearance, and did she turn out to be a dud? All right, so this is, now look at the foolishness. This dude is talking like he's been raised by these single BAWs that says thinking's not required for you. All right, your ex, you're raised by your ex. I want y'all to understand something. A lot of these dudes ain't messing with these women like this because they look like Richardson. Because when they see a woman tatted up with all that, they know she comes with luggage and they ain't trying to get in it. So she's not their ex. And if he would have done some more research, he would have found out that Richardson wouldn't have a man as an ex anyway. Because she only deals and talks to women as far as relationships. That's the problem with these clowns. That's the problem with everybody. Everybody look over all this evil. And even this dude and the BW cannot understand why their image is so in tatters. But when you look at it, they did this to their own image. They did it to themselves. All the brothers did was sit back, watch Maury, watch all these stats start coming out, watch all the news that start coming out, and say, you know what, we're tired. We can't do nothing with them, and they are a danger to us. They're a risk to anything we try to build. They're even a risk to us having a voice. So, yes, you're right. We don't want nothing to do with that. With that said, I'm out.